Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be installing some wheel bearings on my '05 Toyota 4Runner. Pretty much the same process for all Toyota Tacomas and 4Runners, but this one will be specifically '03 to '09, which is the 4th gen Toyota 4Runner. So here's the wheel bearings from Detroit Axle. I didn't want to repack my bearings, so I went this route. They're pretty cheap. I'll show you the link in the Amazon. It'll be in the description below. So first off, we just want to remove your caliper, of course, and then eventually the plate cover so you can get access. So you'll have to remove these pins on the caliper itself to remove the brake pads. And of course you want to compress your brakes. 12 millimeter, you want to remove this bracket that holds the brake hose line, and two 19 millimeter bolts to remove the caliper itself. I'm just trying to give you a better angle right there. There's the 19 millimeter and the one on the other side down there. Of course you want to use a bungee so you're not pulling on your brake lines and ruining them or stretching them or possibly cracking them. Sprayed some PB Blaster on these bolts, right, 19 millimeter bolts. And there it is, holding up the caliper, the little bungee. A lot of people's rotors might be seized on. Mine was pretty loose. You could always put some anti-seize, which I did before installing these rotors, so they came off pretty easily. They were just loose already, as you can see. But you might have to get a rubber hammer mallet to kind of loosen it up. And this is the anti-seize I used. So you want to get rid of this plate cover right here, which reveals a 35 millimeter bolt, and the wheel bearing itself is right behind there, held on by the 17 millimeter bolts, 4 of them. Just using a rubber mallet to kind of loosen it up. And this is held on by a little cotter pin. Just straighten it out, you can reuse it. Alright, once you move the pin out, then you just remove this little special teeth bolt cover thing. And then you want a huge socket, 35 millimeters, and at this time you will need a long bar of some sort so you can break it free, so your wheels don't turn on you. And a little rubber mallet again, just to loosen up the wheel bearing bolts. There's 4 of them, sprayed with a little PB Blaster beforehand as well. And next step, since we're not using these wheel bearings anymore, you can use kind of a metal mallet because these will definitely be seized on. These are the original ones from the factory. So you just want to leave on your bolt with a couple threads so they don't end up falling off. But here's my wheel bearing finally loosen up. And there it is. This is what it's been making the whining and humming noise that you probably are watching this video for. There's the old rubber gasket that you won't need. The new package comes with the rubber gasket. Of course, you want to clean all the grease and gunk that's in there. And then eventually you do want to file down with a metal brush, just all the shavings and stuff that might have collected over the years. And here's metal brush filing, just to make sure the new wheel bearing just sits nice and flush. And I will put on some anti-seize to make sure next time whoever replaces it doesn't have the same issues as me hammering it for so long. And after that, here's the wheel bearing from Detroit Axle. We won't need that different spacer, but there's a spacer in there you can adjust. But our 4th gen comes all pre-assembled, just needs the rubber washer and the wheel bearing assembly itself. Now we put the caliper guard right here on, make sure all the holes line up, and then just the reverse process, and that's pretty much it. This video will go through it pretty quickly. 35mm hex bolt, and you'll need a bar as well to tighten it, since it will just turn freely without it. You might have to play around because sometimes your bar isn't long enough or it doesn't catch right. So here it is. This is kind of the setup when you're tightening it. And from factory it's like 190 foot-pounds, 200 pounds, so obviously my torque wrench didn't go up that high, so I just tightened it as tight as I could. Here's the cotter pin. Just want to bend it so it locks in place. And you want to put the cover on. Just use a little rubber mallet so you don't dent the plate cover. And put on your caliper, and that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.